everyone. This is Elliot Howard and Jerry Cooper of the Services Cooperative Association. And we're having the Services Cooperative Association podcast today. And the Services Cooperative Association has been around for 39 years in service to the city of Houston as a business development incubator association. We are the first women's business incubator in the history of the country, and we are celebrating our 39th year of doing so. We have a weekly Crossroad Business Building breakfast that happens every Wednesday at 7:30 to 8:30, presently at the Corner Bakery located at 9311 Katy Freeway in Houston, Texas, located in the shopping center of Kroger and Chase Bank. But like I said, the Services Cooperative Association is dedicated to providing services to entrepreneurs, be it experienced or new, and even business professionals to help them advance their career, develop their business, and developing the skill set through skill development and mentorship guidance. Jerry, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
All right.
I'm always happy to help pitch the Services Cooperative Association. It has done great work over the past nearly 4 decades in helping new companies launch, sustain themselves, and ultimately grow. It is not a typical networking meeting, as we often tell people. It is in fact a workshop that is conducted every Wednesday morning, and it's a co-op. So the people who participate learn practical things that help them every day in running and building their businesses. So I'm always looking for an opportunity to offer them up as a reliable source for those who are always looking to have questions answered.
Definitely. And even to have those questions answered beyond the day of the meeting. Because for the guests to understand, Jerry Cooper is CEO of CDC Integrated Services. He's also the founder. And so he's an executive that's giving back to the community. And I know that there are executive and business owners and experienced and successful business owners like Jerry in the city of Houston, that if you want to give back to the community and help other business owners develop their skill set, develop their businesses, the Services Cooperative Association is a vehicle that you can do that. A very structured environment, safe environment, a wonderful environment that there are winners on all sides. So if you want to make sure that you find out more about us, just come on visit on a Wednesday at the Crossroad Business Building breakfast, and we can begin from there. Or you can contact Jerry Cooper or myself, be it our social media on LinkedIn and Facebook, and we are more than willing to answer any questions that you have and establishing those business relationships and developing for years to come. So today we have a wonderful topic that we're going to be discussing, because there's, in this economy that we are now in, that's been on a roller coaster in an amusement park that nobody chose, right? So it's still, there are needs that still need to be met for people that still are driving towards having their own business and wanting to be successful at it. And it's challenging when the economy is great. It's even more challenging when the economy is where it is right now. And we don't really get the full picture of the reporting because the news has been slanted regardless of who you watch or listen to. You're never getting the full picture. Nevertheless, the topic that we're going to be talking about today will be helpful regardless of what stage the economy is in, because once you know how to use the tools that are given to you, this is where the mentorship comes in. You learn how to use the tools that are given to you, then you'll be successful at any time because you'll know exactly what to do. And today we're going to talk about the SBA and the tools that are there for business owners, especially the rookies that are out there. You need to know what they can do. And Services Cooperative Association, we do have people that are experienced in working with that environment, in that arena. So, Jerry, we're going to go ahead and have that discussion right now. We were talking about this on Wednesday. Why don't you go ahead and enlighten us about the story? What's going on?
One of the things that you and I talked about earlier is the fact that small business owners struggle to find capital for their businesses. And many of them are aware of the Small Business Administration, which exists to help small businesses. But those who go to the government website often fail to advance very far because they don't really understand how the SBA works. And now we can't cover that in this brief half hour, but we can certainly talk about the things that small business owners need to understand before they approach somebody within the SBA or any of the other entities that exist to support startups. For example, there's an organization called Lift Fund, which exists to help small business owners. But when you're talking about an SBA, or you're talking about a non-governmental organization that exists to support businesses,
mm-hmm.
you need to understand what their rules are. And those rules aren't always immediately obvious when you go to the website. It takes effort and time to understand those rules. And my suggestion is often find somebody who can help you navigate. For example, the SBA has a broad definition of what a small business is. I mean, some small businesses need capitalization of $500,000 to $2 million. That's still a small business, but that's a lot of money in the context of a small business. Many small businesses need something much smaller. And there is a program within SBA called the 7A program, which is for those individuals who are trying to build a business and they come from diminished economic circumstances.
Okay.
And so because of their economic histories, they are challenged to come up with the resources themselves, and they need help. But by the same token, the SBA needs to make sure that they are a credible investment of the public dollars. Even though they're designed to help the small business owner in these economically disadvantaged environments, you still have to be able to make a convincing argument that you're somebody that should be considered for such a loan. Right. And it's often important that you get the help in answering those questions, because not even, as I said, it's not immediately obviously what the answer truly needs to be. And that's where organizations like the Services Cooperative Association comes in, or SCORE. There are several organizations out there like ours and that one that can guide people through the loan application process at the Small Business Administration or one of these other entities, if that's how they choose to go.
Now, obviously this, because we were part of a discussion that we had. You discussed that you were dealing with you observed a young lady that was asking certain questions, and it became apparent that she did not know which direction. This is where guidance becomes really important. Can you talk a little bit about this real life situation that you had observed?
Well, after the particular meeting, we spoke briefly about the fact that 7A was an avenue that she needed to pursue, but she needed to make sure that she found somebody who could guide her through the 7A process.
Mm-hmm. And
I invited her to go to either SCORE or come to one of our meetings. Now she is a Lyft driver,
okay.
and she wants to create a business where she aggregates a bunch of Lyft and Uber drivers under her umbrella, and so she wants to create a modern version of a taxi company.
Okay.
All right. And so she had trouble explaining that initially. And so
Mhm.
several people, including myself, and suggested to her that she needed to work on making this business model more understandable,
Right,
because it wasn't immediately obvious what she was trying to do.
right,
But then talking to her, we realized that actually she's trying to form a taxi company using Lyft and Uber drivers.
right,
She wants to take over some of the back office stuff. She wants to make the drivers. She wants to create a driver organization that is more reliable, more professional, more consistent. And so I was pressed to get to another meeting. So I kind of summarized very quickly what I thought she needed to do. And so I'm
mm,
looking forward to at the next meeting to see how she's doing. And if she's still struggling, I'm going to again reemphasize us as well as these other entities. But I'm going to give her, I don't want to basically say you have to come see us, but I want to make sure that she understands that we can help her answer those questions the way they need to be answered.
definitely. Because like I think that we have business owners that are inside or prospective business owners that are inside a major city like Houston, New York, Chicago, LA, or you name any of the top 10. There are a lot of resources that are there, but within a lot of resources, everything gets drowned out by like who actually can do what. On the other side of the coin, because I come from a rural background, my hometown, there's more people in my neighborhood presently in Houston than in my entire hometown of Findlay. All right. And like, so some things just weren't there. It was either the bank for a financier or for a mentor, either the bank, the church, or some neighborhood friends. That was basically it. And so that's a whole other set of problems. You would have to go to a bigger city in order to get the help that you need to grow your business where you are, because there are opportunities everywhere to get the help that you need. But I think that business owners, and I've seen this from people that have attended Services Cooperative Association, there is the still mentality of the microwave thought process that you have this idea and you just want to bring it out. And anything that's done that's worth doing and done worth doing well is not going to take. I mean, is it's not going to be quick. It's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be a 5-minute fix. And if I want to cook a meal the right way, it behooves me to be friends with a chef so he or she can coach me on what to do, because I might think that pepper and paprika go together on chicken. And that might not be the right way if I wanted to. Like I can think that I'm doing good in my own mind, and it's good to have self-confidence, but there are levels beyond me that they have done that experiment. They know that it's not going to work, and this is how you actually prepare the chicken the right way that everyone else can eat it. Okay, business is very much in any other fact, regardless of the industry you want to start your business in, it's still important to partner with people that have been there, have paid their dues on that. So that way, like, you don't want to, pitfalls are going to hit, but you don't want to hit the same ones that someone else has already done. So you can avoid that. If you hit a new pitfall, it's going to be something new to everybody. So that way you figure that one out instead of feeling like the person that hit something that everybody else has hit. So
no, you raise a very good point. There is the expectation that this road is easier to travel than most people realize. It's not. It's going to take time. It's going to take specific commitments and focus and discipline to get certain things accomplished. it's especially true if you're looking for outside money and not your own. You have to be able to tell the story with numbers.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you have to tell you it's not what you do and that's going to sell the people who are going to be providing the money. It's that's an element, but basically they have to know why you're doing it, what you hope to accomplish with the business,
Mm-hmm.
and why they should invest the money in your why.
Mm-hmm.
The what is ultimately a secondary
Right.
issue. They have to be convinced that you know what you're doing, and in order for them to understand what you're doing, and I'm not talking about the service like the delivery of an elevated Lyft or Uber service. It's what is it about this business model that's going to work? What is it about you that's going to make you a successful entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
in this particular business model? And
Mm-hmm.
so you have to be able to tell the why story and support the why story with numbers.
Right.
Your income statements, your cash flows, your budget forecast. These documents play an important role in making the why sound legitimate.
Right. Exactly. Because
And
the
you
thing
need,
is
go ahead.
because I was saying, because the thing is that, but the investor that you want to invest in your business, they need to know that you know what you're doing. There's a reason why if you went to the doc, you and I both have seen doctors over the years, right? We're old enough. So if we ever went to a doctor that didn't have the reason why the doctors have the credentials on the wall in the area that we were going to see them in, because it's communicating to us that they know what they're doing. Because it would be pitiful to find out when I go to see them about, let's say, sleep apnea, and they don't have a clue any more than I do. So it's like, why am I here? Right? There has to be that communication because for a small business owner, we're counting on the investors are looking at you trying to figure out like how much about what you're doing do you understand? Because just like in going to see the doctor, that you're investing the health situation, you're still investing your money. It's a financial situation. So you want to spend your money with somebody that knows what they're doing. Like and the investors aren't looking for you to be perfect. They're not looking at you to be having a PhD in whatever it is that you're doing, but do you understand enough about what you're doing and where you're going to communicate it effectively with them?
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, then the question is, do you trust you? Because if you don't, because if you look at yourself critically in the mirror with the information that you know about what you're trying to do, would you invest in you if all you can communicate is a minute amount and not really have anything else structured and factually based to back your decision? Is it truly an informed decision, or is it just a dream and a wish?
And I've run into that before. I helped an individual several years ago, and without getting into the specifics,
Mhm.
he was woefully unprepared to do the basic structural work to
Mhm.
demonstrate that he had a viable business model. For example, he didn't have any income at all,
Mhm.
and he had inventory,
Right.
but he had sold stuff in his inventory some months back. And
Mhm.
between the time he had sold parts of this inventory and the point in time where he met with me, he had no sales whatsoever.
Right.
And I says, well, you've got several thousands of dollars invested in this inventory. What are you going to do with it?
Mhm.
How are you going to market it? How are you going to estimate the cost of marketing this inventory? And how are you going to project these costs over the next 90 days or 180 days? And how are you going to refill the inventory? You need to put down in writing a story that says, I've got this much inventory and I'm going to be marketing it in these avenues. And this is the money that I'm going to be using to market in these avenues. And I estimate that I will move 25% of the inventory in this period of time and 25% of the inventory in this time. And I will replenishing the inventory over this time frame. And it's cost me this much money.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me that story. And so until you can tell me that story, you don't have a business. You have a wish and a dream.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
I mean, and wishes and dreams are good,
yeah,
but I mean, it's good to dream because that's where the ideas for, that's where all the businesses that that are established come from. There's a dream, there's a wish to have it. Okay, so that's stage one and stage two. The next thing is you got to plan for it. If you really, really want it, you're going to have to plan for it. And there's no, and the reason why the planning is so important, because you got to have an understanding about what to do when and where to go from there. Once you accomplish this stage, where do we go from here? And if you have that ladder, then you're not going to miss. You gotta make sure you hit all of those rungs, because if you miss a rung, because I've done it on a ladder, an actual ladder before, I missed a rung, end up sliding all the way down, because it's not like the other rungs were there, but missing a rung threw me off. I missed my cadence, and I nearly hurt myself for it physically. This was back when I was a younger man. I'm older now. I definitely would have hurt myself at my age now. The point of the fact is that within business, it's still that. I teach my son, the 16-year-old that you met. He's doing really, really well, by the way. Says hello. And when he was younger, we were working on his homework, and he was really smart with it. He could do a lot of the facts and figures and everything in his head for the math. And so he would skip steps that the teacher would want him to go. And I stopped him when I would go through, I would review his homework, and he would, I'm like, okay, so the answer is correct, but where's your steps? He's like, well, I already got the answer. I'm like, no. You need to do the steps. So the fact that you know the answer, that's wonderful. And it's wonderful to be efficient with your time like that. But there's going to come a point in time that you're going to need to follow the steps on something, and you can't afford to skip it, because you're not going to be able to do the answer in your head. That's why you need to show the steps right here. That's what the teacher is asking for. So that's why we're doing your homework now ahead of time, because he would get his homework a week in advance. And so I was like, okay, so we have plenty of time to get it done. Let's get it all done this weekend. So that way then you have this whole process of steps. You can ask other questions in preparation of the day when this is due, but you never want to skip your steps. Now, when he's going to school, now he's a junior year, he's in the top 5% of his class, really has a shot at becoming valedictorian, and he's still doing what I taught him back when he was in elementary school, of the fact is you cannot skip the steps. And working with the SBA, and all the SBA and the other organizations that you've been talking about are doing, is honing down on that business owner and saying, okay, so you want this, these are the steps in order to get that. And it's really helpful, because the fact is, if you've not done it before, you're going to need to know how to do it right. So they're in essence, they're helping that business owner understand what the steps are involved. So they're counting the full cost of the decisions that they are making to turn this dream and a wish into reality. What do you think?
That's very true. Very true. And so it comes back to the willingness of individuals to spend the time they need to learn. Mm-hmm. And that's a challenge for these these small business owners, that because they're often consumed by doing what they're doing, the work they're doing that represents the business they want to grow. It doesn't matter where you're a Lyft or Uber driver. You can't spend time on your business when you're out on the road driving. But you still need to find a way to carve out the time you need to go through the steps of building the business.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to open a small retail store, if you're
Mm-hmm.
selling stuff online and you want to open a retail store, you have to be able to understand what it is to organize yourself so that while you're selling online, you're moving steadily toward that point in time when you can have the ribbon cutting ceremony for your very first store.
Right.
Because ultimately, not everybody buys online.
No.
Everybody you will have people who always want to see and feel and get a sense of what it is that they're buying, whether it's a piece of clothing or a new TV
Mm-hmm.
or whatever else is you deem necessary. There are a lot of people that will buy it online, increasingly so, but ultimately the brick and mortar store will never totally go away, and you're always seeing people opening their store. If you're a member of a chamber, there's always every week there's somebody opening their business, their dream is coming true, and whether it's a small restaurant or a retail outlet, whether it's an insurance company or a doctor's office.
Mm-hmm.
The chamber is always announcing ribbon cuttings, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm a member of more than one chamber, and so the dream to own a business is more than just I've got a website and I'm selling my stuff on the internet. Even though that is a significant factor, you cannot get away from the reality that people want the face-to-face customer contact.
Yeah, they do.
And they want their business to be successful in all aspects.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what SCA tries to do. It wants people to come in and commit themselves to the idea that if they follow this model, they can make that dream real. They can make their why become a reality.
Oh, that's definitely true. That's definitely true. And I've seen, as I live in the West Chase district, and I've seen the importance of like how having a plan works, and the difference between like who had one and who, whether or not they had one, they're not following it. Either they don't have it or they have one, but they're not really following it. And case in point, there are two restaurants that are you and I think I talked about. There's a place called Niger, right? And there's another place called Ebony. Both of them relatively opened up within a year of each other. Niger actually had opened up under a different name, same business owner. Location was called Cobams. And Cobams had a situation where they were a nice restaurant. They were a good restaurant. It was a fusion type of restaurant, but they opened up January 2020, had a soft opening. They were going to have the grand opening they had a grand opening the beginning of February. We all remember what happened by mid-February. Everything was a lockdown, right?
Right.
Okay. So they ultimately became, and they were a new restaurant. So unlike there were other restaurants that were in West Chase, in the West Chase district that have been around for a long time, 20, 30 years, established reputation, right? So you would assume that they would be okay because for the experienced restaurants, because the reputation was established. You're sitting there at home, you can't sit in a restaurant because it's on lockdown, you can't do that. So all anybody could do is order the food, and then that's it. So all the restaurants that became judged by the quality of the food that they by the food that they made and how effectively that particular part of the service was done because there wasn't anything else. And Niger, and there were two other restaurants that had opened roughly at around the same time. Niger actually flourished to the point that, I mean, that business owner, he flourished and managed that because he had an effective plan. The other business owners that were in the exact same situation, they were at different parts of the West Chase district, all along Westheimer, so still heavy flow of traffic. In fact, he was off Westheimer. He is off Westheimer, so it's not, you don't directly see it. You have to turn down another street to see it, right? Those other restaurants ultimately died during COVID. They did not make it to the end of the lockdown, but they did. He ends up switching his name, calling it from Cobams to Niger. And all he did, the reason why he did that was because he switched the business model. Because when you have an effective plan, if you just need to switch the business model to something, you can do that. He did. He actually switched it to Niger because he ended up having it go from instead of being from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., from 6 p.m. to 4 a.m., right? And there was another restaurant that did something very similar to him, but they didn't stick to their plan or they didn't have one. And now this particular competitor went from being open 6 days a week, now they're only open 3, and it's only on the weekends. And in a city like Houston, where there are plenty of options to go get something to eat, to hang out for an evening, that's not good if you're only open 3 days out of the week. No. And that's where they are. Whereas Niger, again, is flourishing, and he's even remodeling the location, and he's doing it in steps and stages. So and talking to him, he understands where you would love it being you're a CEO too. So it's like, if you're talking to him, he knows where the money is flowing. He knows what he needs where everything is going for what, and still having that traffic coming in, meeting the needs of the customer while growing the business in a very effective manner. So anybody that wants to invest in him to help him grow, they know they're going to get a return on that investment.
Well, you raised an excellent point, Elliot. One of the things that determined success or failure in 2020 was how quickly companies adapted. Now, there are all kinds of books that are coming out now about people who were successful in moving in a different direction and doing it quickly. And so everybody's capitalizing on, read this book and it's all about these companies that did this successfully. Or buy this book, it's all about these companies that did this successfully. The simple truth behind your story is that the company that was the restaurant owner that was successful knew something about his business that many companies take for granted. He knew his customers.
Right.
And he knew what he needed to do to keep those customers.
Right.
And the restaurants who, for example, before I sold the house we used to have in our neighborhood is in Memphis. And I saw all these restaurants closing, but Memphis, after they were allowed to reopen, became one of the successful ones. And they used to open at 11 o'clock in the morning, and they were open until 10 o'clock at night. But like you said, they quickly examined where they could make money, keep their customers. And so they started opening at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and closing at 9:30. And they primarily focused on the picking up and delivering. So they had customers who were willing to come in and pick up their food, and there were customers that asked them to deliver. So that was their entire focus for a year, was they're from 4 to 9:30, and they prepared food to be picked up or prepared food to be delivered. And I was talking to the restaurant manager about 3 months ago, and they are now open for lunch again. So they they focused on what they needed to do to survive,
Right.
and they've gradually expanded their hours as they've been able to fill the restaurant again with people who are willing to come in and sit down for a meal. But they had the foresight to say, okay, who are our customers? When do we make the most sales? What do they buy? How often do they buy it? And so it didn't take them very long to figure out that they could get rid of the lunch crowd in the short term, because that was not their true money maker. Okay.
Right.
It was, and so restaurants that curtailed their services is one thing, but restaurants who curtailed their services with a purpose are those that flourish and continue to flourish.
Nice.
We can't disguise the fact that 250,000 restaurants are no longer in existence, not just here in the greater Houston area, but throughout the country. 250,000 restaurants disappeared overnight.
Right. And I tell you, the thing is, it's when you have we're nearing the end of it, but the thing is, that's where the importance of having a plan is, so that way when certain situations come, you have an idea, a game plan of like what to follow, what to adjust.
And
nothing should really.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said nothing should be left to just being a knee-jerk reaction, but okay, a plan that you can follow, you can adjust and adapt, as opposed to making it up as you go along. So that way, when a situation comes like a COVID lockdown, who saw that one coming? You can be like Nigel, regardless of what the business is. Like, you brought it, like you hit that on the nail head. He knew his customers, he knew his market, made the adjustments to go from Cobams to Nigel, all that, but adjusting everything accordingly. Instead of just throwing his hands up like, oh my God, what do I do? No, it's just do this. Execute. Execution was key.
Yeah.
And then as long as he kept on and followed, I guess it was an adaptation to the plan instead of coming up with a whole new plan, or coming up with one because he didn't have one. This was a very wonderful. I mean, it's a sight to behold. So the organizations that you were talking about to help providing funding and guidance for the business owners, you talked about SBA, Small Business Association, right?
Yeah.
Then you talked about this. What's the other one?
Well, you have the Small Business Administration.
Okay.
But within their organization are specific programs.
Okay.
For example, they are committed to set asides for minority-owned businesses, for women-owned businesses, for disabled veteran businesses, such as my own.
Mm-hmm.
So and there's a category for people who are trying to open up businesses who live in an economically disadvantaged neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And there are several of those here in Houston, as you know. And so all of these programs have specific rules and requirements, and they have forms that you have to understand. They have to be filled out complete and correctly. They also have to.
So Jerry, let everybody know how they can contact you to utilize your business services, and if you to contact you for mentorship.
Well, we are CDC integrated services. And as I remind everybody on these podcasts, that we are a company that specializes in workplace conflicts. We assist other companies who have workplace conflicts. We provide a range of solutions and processes to organizations who are dealing with difficulties in the workplace. We can be reached at CDC. Our website is www.cdci-mediation.com. Phone numbers are available on the website, and I'm always answering the phone myself when the admin's not around. Happy to answer the phone. I'm also a member of the Services Cooperative Association. I give my time freely, and if they want to reach out to me about their business and how to make their business more successful, I'm more than happy to talk to them about that. And if they want to hire me as a coach, I'm perfectly happy to do that. My rates are reasonable. So
Okay.
anyway, again, this is CDC Integrated Services, and the website is www.cdci-mediation.com.
Wonderful. And of course, I am Elliot Howard, and I am with the Services Cooperative Association as well. I'm also a financial services representative, where I focus on personal business solutions, personal financial solutions, and business solutions. So I help individuals and businesses, partnering with them to achieve their financial goals and dreams. You can, like with Jerry, you can see me every Wednesday at the Services Cooperative Crossroad Business Building Breakfast every Wednesday morning from 7:30 to 8:30. You can also reach me at 281-661-3919 at my office anytime. And I provide services to help you out. Also, business mentorship as well, because I really love helping people achieve their goals and dreams for their personal life as well as for their business. And so, Jerry, it has been another wonderful podcast with you. I have enjoyed it. And I urge everybody, look up the services that he talked about through the SBA.gov, okay? And take advantage of those services. And then also work with Services Cooperative Association as well to help provide you with a mentorship to know what to do with each stage in the process of getting that small business off the ground. And see you this Wednesday at the Crossroad Business Building Breakfast. Jerry, hopefully I get to see you there. I will be there. And
well, I won't be there next week because my wife and I are off to California.
Oh, well, that's wonderful.
We are going to be visiting friends, touring the wine country, doing a little tasting.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. That sounds like a lovely trip. Well, I'll be here in Houston. So if folks want to see me and also the founder of the Services Cooperative Association, Dean Kring, we are going to be there on Wednesday at the Corner Bakery, 9311 Katy Freeway here in Houston, Texas, at the corner of Echo Lane and the Katy Freeway feeder.
Okay.
Till next time, Jerry, I look forward to speaking with you again, covering another business education topic for the listeners for the Services Cooperative Association podcast. You can always check us out on our Services Cooperative Association podcast YouTube channel. Thank you all and have yourself a great day.